All right, guys, and welcome back to the Saints View, the channel for something content for our end of season review. It is a little bit premature, but because of the coronavirus, we thought we'd sit down, have a chat about the season so far and potentially the full season in general. I've got Josh, Liam, and Tom with me, all the TSV boys. Boys, say hi.
All right, guys. Hi, guys.
And of course, we're doing this on Zoom because we can't go outside. But boys, like last season, we're going to do it just as we go. So if you start pre-season and each month, just to make it quite simple. So, I mean, let's start with pre-season, talking about that. I looked back at the transfers, and to be fair, it wasn't actually as busy as I thought in terms of ins. We got Gineppo, Adams, and Ings in on permanent deals. Nathan Redmond signed a new contract, and Danzo joined on loan. Josh, mate, what was your take on the transfers in? Did you think it was good business, or did you think there was still more to be done?
Yeah, I think overall, I think it was good business. I think we definitely needed a new centre back. I think Danso was a bit of a panic buy on the last day, obviously. But I think people were overreacting on the whole transfer window in the summer. We did spend a good 20 million things, about 12 million on Gineppo and about 15 on Chase. So I thought that was quite a decent business in the summer.
Yeah, and then in terms of the transfers out, that's when it probably was a bit busy. We sold Matt Targett to Aston Villa for £17 million. Sold Sam Gallagher to Blackburn for £5 million. I mean, that was it. That's a lot of money as well for Sam Gallagher. Charlie Austin went to West Brom for £4 million. And Jordy Clarkson went to AZ Alkmaar for a minimal fee. Then this is probably what's still going to bite us in the backside come this summer transfer window, if it actually happens. Guido Carrillo out on loan, Wesley Hoyt out on loan, Mohamed Elianusi out on loan, Fraser Forster out on loan, Harrison Reed out on loan, Jake Hesketh out on loan, Jack Rose out on loan, Mario Lemina out on loan. That's a good 50 million at least pounds worth of talent there, all on loan. I mean, Liam, mate, do we need to sell these players, or do you even think it's possible to sell them?
I honestly don't think it's possible we're going to sell all of them. There's still going to be a couple players out on loan. Don't think really. Celtic are only paying like 30% of the wages for Forster, and he's nearly on 100 grand a week with us. So they're never going to buy him on a permanent. Lemina, we're asking for about 60 million euros, and Galatasaray don't want to pay that. Don't know about Wesley, or it's just the fact they're going to come back in the summer and probably actually just go out on loan again until the contract's run out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. I think some of them will be sold. I think maybe Carrillo could go. Some people have even called for him to be given a chance. Elianusi potentially could have a chance. You know, if we sell Boufal, there might be a spot there for him, and that's the cheaper option because he's already signed to us. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm still worried about it going into the upcoming transfer window. But of course, we're talking about what's happened this season. Let's focus on this campaign. In terms of pre-season, though, it was pretty successful. 4 wins and a draw, unbeaten pre-season. I remember Tom and Liam, when we went to do the preview, we were pretty encouraged by that. But Tom, having reflected on it, do you think that actually made a difference?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I think Chad scored a lot of goals in pre-season. Obviously, hasn't scored since. Obviously, playing in pre-season isn't the same as league action, but it's as close as you can get. And it did look well at the time, but obviously, we did have a tough start to the season in terms of like fixtures. Obviously, played Liverpool United quite early on. Burnley away first game. Rather not talk about that. But yeah, it was a tough start anyway. So it was always going to be difficult to pick up loads of points in the early sort of few weeks.
Well, I did go back and watch our season preview today, just to get an idea of what we were saying. So, I said we'd finish 9th. Liam said we'd finish 10th. You said we'd finish 12th. So you were a lot closer than myself and Liam. But we also, all 3 of us said that we think that Shea Adams would be top goal scorer. Obviously, it hasn't worked out.
It's backfired on us a bit, isn't it?
To be fair, no. Right, here's the thing, right? I actually still think it was a good buy. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I know he's not scored any goals.
Yeah.
I still think it was a good buy. I still think there's a player in there. I've said it.
I think there is.
Got a couple of good assists.
No, he's still young. He's got loads of
Exactly. He's only he's only 23 years of age, and the guy, whenever he's actually come on, he's actually made quite a bit of difference. If you actually look at it, he's only getting about 10, 15 minutes a week, and that's not good enough for a player to improve. That's why I think we should let long-term contract run out at the end of the season and give Adams that chance to be our number one striker with Ings again, hopefully, next season.
No, I think, to be fair to him, he got given the opportunity at the start of the season. I've said this before. He didn't actually make that many chances. He didn't really get that many.
Yeah.
I think
He could have had 2 against Sheffield United, couldn't he? But Henderson was on a bit of a madness.
He couldn't have done any better with the chances he got there.
No.
So, talking about the actual season, we've had a good pre-season. We go into Burnley away thinking there's a chance for 3 points, at the very least a point. Myself and Liam travel up together for that one. I saw Josh there as well. Liam, mate, describe it for me. What an awful start to the season.
Just travelling 6 hours up there, and we're all hyped for the start of the season. It's raining, it's proper Burnley conditions, wind everywhere, and we're all quite optimistic. We're like, get the 4-2-2 going, and obviously we see the 3 at the back, and we think, you never know, we could get a point here, get 3 points. The first half wasn't too bad. It's very, very boring. But the second half, the first 20 minutes was absolutely abysmal. The defending was... Can't even describe the worst of the defending that day. I think it was one of those games where you think we've just got to learn and reflect next week, really.
I think I've still got a clip from the matchday experience. So if you go, still defend, I'm going to include that.
Still can't defend. Still can't defend. That was pretty much Saints all over. It felt like the start of next season, even though it was the first game. It's just travelling all that way so up for the season. Then to lose 3-0 at Burnley, it's not good enough, really.
Yeah, it wasn't a good enough start, given the fact that we also had Liverpool and Man United to come to St Mary's later on that month. But to be fair, fast forward a week, and it's a completely different side. We're hosting the champions of Europe, right? And to be fair, I thought we showed up that day. I know we lost 2-1. Ings got a consolation goal thanks to an Adrian mistake, but that was a promising performance. And then we go to Brighton with 0 points, really needed them to pick up a result. Brighton have had a great start, and what a day that was. Josh, mate, tell me about that one.
Yeah, obviously the main man, Musa Gineppo, that day, he comes on around, the 60th minute, and there's a bit of anticipation, and he just bangs one top corner. I mean, honestly, I wasn't there at the game. I know you boys were, but the limbs must have been unreal. Like, that was
what it is about.
Win,
sorry to interrupt. You know what it is about Brighton away? It's the fact that they gave. I remember when the fixtures came out, I said August bank holiday weekend, Brighton away. That is perfect. Like, that is when you want to go to Brighton. It was boiling. Me and Liam, when we went to the pier, go to watch the matchday experience if you want to relive that one. But you know what it was? I thought that was the first time that I'd seen where I was like, you know what, this is the team that we thought we were going to get. Because at the end of the last season, we thought, oh yeah, we could have a good side. Obviously, we've got Hasenhüttl in. He'll have a full summer. He'll have a full pre-season. That was the first glimpse. And then Man United at home, another decent performance. Could have won it, I think, if Danzo hadn't been sent off. But again, a good point. Then we go into the international break. Tom, 4 points from those 4 games. Did you think that was a good return going into that international break?
Yeah, I think it was. I think maybe not the way we expected to get the points, apart from Brighton. I think Burnley maybe would expect to get a point, and maybe lose to United, obviously expect to lose to Liverpool. Like you mentioned earlier, we probably could have nicked a point with Ings at the death where he missed that one. It was quite close. But yeah, I think 4 points from 4 games was fine and something to build on moving forward, but it didn't turn out that way. And
then we go to September, up to Sheffield United, newly promoted. They've had an all right start, not the best. I think they'd won one of their home games and lost the other, so the home form was a bit iffy. But that was a decent performance as well, Liam, wasn't it?
Yeah, we all went into the game quite surprised because obviously we saw Bertrand on the bench. I think Ralph and him had a bit of an argument, but we still don't know about it. Obviously, we had Gineppo at left wing back, and we're all like, But none of us really realised how good of a side Sheffield United were. We were very lucky to actually not be losing the game. Obviously, they had a goal disallowed through McBurney. They had a couple of chances where they should have scored, and we should have scored actually. But obviously, a bit of magic from Musa, like the goal against Brighton, absolutely brilliant. And obviously got away with the 3 points, and it was a brilliant result, probably one of our best games of the season, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I echo your thoughts there. And then, unfortunately, we go into a Friday night clash at home with Bournemouth. It's their biggest game of the season. Don't show up for that one. But our biggest game of the season, arguably, is only 4 days later. I forgot about the Fulham game. So we beat Fulham in the League Cup second round away. You know, that was a pretty poor all-round game, to be honest. But we were gifted with the first South Coast derby for 7.5 years away at Fratton Park. Myself and Tom went down there. Tom, mate, I mean, tell me about it.
It was incredible. Yeah, we got on at the station at Southampton Central, and there was loads of Pompey fans getting on all throughout the journey. It was a bit kicking off a little bit. We had to move down the carriage a bit to get out of the trouble, and then we got off, saw loads of trouble, and then tried to get into the ground. One steward took us one way, one took us another. We eventually got in there. I think it was 1 minute before kick-off.
Yeah.
And in the first half, I was stood in like the alleyway of the between the rows, and yeah, absolute scenes, great win. And the journey back, we had to get like a escort to the station. We eventually made it back to Southampton, then drove back up.
Yeah, I think they held back in the ground for like an hour after kickoff. I've never had that.
Yeah, it was ages.
No, that was what a night. But then we get gifted with Man City away in the next round, which we weren't pleased about. But then sort of brought back down to earth again with a defeat away at Spurs. Really poor showing. Spurs get a man sent off around the 30-minute mark, and we're literally playing against 10 men for 60 minutes. And at 1-1, you're thinking, you know, this is our game. We've got to go out in the second half and get that goal or two to win the game. We don't concede it just before half time. I think it was Kane scored then. And we just, we didn't show anything going forwards. So at that point, end September, 7 points from 7 games. Personally, I think it's underwhelming. But then we go into October. For me, the worst month of the season. You can argue November or December, but starts off with a 4-1 defeat at home to Chelsea. Josh, mate, what was that one?
Mate, it was a calamity from start to finish, wasn't it? Well, Tammy Abraham scored early on. I mean, that didn't really set the crowd. I mean, it didn't go down well with the crowd. People already fed up with our performances recently. And then, yeah, they go get the early goal. And then there was a response, wasn't there? We equalised, didn't we, with Ings?
It was a consolation. It made it 2-1.
Was it 2-0 and then 2-1?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kante scored the second one, didn't he? And then Ings.
Mount scored the second, and then Ings
my bad.
got one, and then Kante scored the third just before half time.
Yeah, so right before half time, 30th minute, Danny Ings scores. So obviously it moves up again. And then, obviously, before half-time, Kante scores, and at 3-1, it's hard to come back. And then that try seals it at the end. I mean, it was poor again defensively. It was just not good enough, is it?
No, it wasn't. And then go to Wolves, decent point there, in my opinion. And then we've got to talk. I mean, we've got to have a decent conversation about this next one. There's no point in sugarcoating it. We lost 9-0 at home to Leicester on a Friday night. Quite possible a night, without a doubt, the worst night in the club's history. I don't even want to talk about it, but Liam, mate, talk us through it, because
it was probably the worst night I've ever seen in my life in football. It was just an absolute calamity, absolutely pissing down the rain, awful Friday night football. No one just turned up, really. No one looked bothered about the game. So when we conceded the first goal, when obviously it was a double whammy with Bertrand getting sent off, it was just from there, it was like the game was over in the first 10 minutes. Then after that, the team just gave up, and no fight, no passion. And obviously, Leicester are an absolute class team. They're just going to put away everything. And like 5-0 at half time, the second half, it was just nothing there. We're just gifting them goals left, right, and centre. And it was just a night that we have to forget, really. And actually, we improved on from there, I'd say.
But at that point, obviously we were optimistic going into the season. Did you think, no, this is going to be a relegation fight?
100%. After that, I was just thinking, who actually wants to play for this club other than probably Ward-Prowse and Ings? Like, no one actually gave anything really. And after then, we were just like, I'll just be happy to stay up and hopefully get on with it next season.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
and then
can I just add though?
you what?
The fans did us. Can I just add though? The fans did us proud that day. I
Oh,
mean,
100%.
the Northern and Itchen North were fantastic. Even at 7-0 down, we were still singing. I didn't hear the Leicester fans once really.
Yeah, you couldn't hear them. They had that one Beach Eye song, and that was it. Heard them nothing. The club won 9-0, their best result in history, and their fans were diabolical.
Yeah, no, I agree with you both there. Good shout, Josh, mate. Follow that up with possibly the worst possible fixtures to have after a 9 defeat. 2 trips to Man City. You know, to be fair, neither showing were that bad. 3-1 defeat in the Cup, 2-1 defeat in the league. Ward-Prowse gave us the lead going into half-time, possibly the best first half, maybe all season, definitely up to that point. You know, really good response. And then, of course, typical Man City, go on and get 2 late goals to win it. But, you know, there was encouragement there. But then after that, we've got Everton at home. It needs to be a reaction. It's the first home game since the 9-0. And for me, that hurt more than the 9-0 losing 2-1 to Everton. Tom, I don't know about you, mate.
Yeah, especially given that at the time Everton were right with us on the table, and I think if we won, we would have gone above them. And we got back into the game 1-0 with Ings again, and then here's Richarlison at the back post, got the second one, and it's just typical Saints really. Like we got back to where we wanted to be, and then just let it go. So it was just, yeah, like I probably agree with you. It probably was as bad as Leicester, even though the result wasn't as heavy.
And then the Arsenal trip, I mean, we should have absolutely battered them. You know, we were pretty good that day. I mean, despite the fact that Arsenal were abysmal. And then rounding off November, the biggest game of the season, without a doubt, Watford at home. They were in the relegation zone as well. We were too, and I think if they'd won, they would have leapfrogged us. They hadn't. I think they'd just gotten their first win of the season by that point. They'd sacked Javi Garcia, Quique Sanchez Flores came in, hadn't made the reaction that obviously everyone wanted. 1-0 down at half time, Josh, mate, were you fearing the worst?
Oh, 100%. When Sarr put that in quite early in the first half, I feared the worst, 100%. I thought we were done, really. I mean, thinking about it, we lost to Leicester last month, and then now we're losing to bottom of the league, Watford. Yeah, it wasn't looking great, really, at half time. And then, obviously, in the second half, we turn it around, maybe with a bit of fortune. Obviously, Gineppo might have handballed it in the lead up to Ings' goal, but we won't talk about that. And then, obviously, Prowsey with his magical right foot. Yeah, it was a really nice free kick, and we got 3 points. Such a valuable 3 points too.
Just to add to that, a few years ago, obviously Watford got a late equaliser against us through a handball as well. So it was a bit of karma, really.
Yeah,
yeah, it was.
Well, so that was our first home win of the season, and then we get given another very good fixture at home a couple of days later. Norwich also struggling, and we took the points. We took the advantage of it. Liam, so back-to-back wins at home in a matter of days. Did you think, there's actually going to be a chance for us now?
Yeah, considering we started the Watford game 5 points adrift of the relegation zone, getting 6 points and taking us up to 17th was a massive boost. Getting those first home wins of the season against teams that are around us, it just gave us really a massive confidence boost. And we had a really good load of fixtures coming with Newcastle, West Ham and Villa. So December was our chance to really leapfrog the table and put ourselves in a comfortable position.
Another thing I want to add to that is that Norwich game, I believe Danny Ings scored his 10th goal of the season. Now, up to this point, it'd been all doom and gloom, to be honest, but we haven't spoken about him yet, and I'm sure we'll speak about him more later on. But for a Saints player I think it was the first since Beattie to get 10 before Christmas. So it was something like that.
Yeah.
Massively underrated. And also I wanted to add that at that point, around that time, Jack Stevens had just been added into the side. And I think that made a big difference.
Yeah, made a huge difference. I think it came on at half time in the Leicester game, actually. Obviously, he still conceded 4 goals, but even in the Man City games, I think he scored in the cup game maybe, and he seemed to make a big difference compared to the
Yeah,
likes of
just
Vestergaard
to
and
add to that, it was
Ramsey.
the Man City game away when we lost 2-1 in the cup where we really saw the turnaround with Jack Stevens, showing that centre back where he could actually be. And obviously, ever since then, he's probably been our best centre back with Jan Bednarek, and it's really good to see because we all know how good of a player he can be. It's just whether he shows it or not. And in the last couple of months, he has been. And it's really nice to see.
Yeah, no, I completely echo your thoughts there, boys. But then the rest of December, we're given a trip to Newcastle. They'd also been struggling to score goals. But I think at that point they were actually in pretty good form. They'd won something like 2 or 3 in a row. Go there and lose after being 1-0 up. Surprise, surprise. But then I think also the West Ham defeat the week after at home. You know, after working hard to get those 2 vital wins, we then go and lose another 2 games against fellow relegation candidates. I mean, Josh, mate, it's still, did you think we're going down after that? Because it just didn't look like whatever we did, we were going to pick up any consistency.
Yeah, I thought so, definitely. We were just so lethargic that game. We didn't win any second balls. We didn't really create many chances at all. And I know West Ham is our bogey team, really, since we've come up. But yeah, I mean, they beat us to every single ball, and obviously they scored that goal before half time with Haller, and we never got back in it. I mean, we just never got back in it, really.
So at that point in the relegation zone, it's looking pretty bleak. We can't score, we can't defend. Were we thinking Ralph out at that point, Liam?
No, definitely not. I was always Ralph in. Anyone who said Ralph out on Twitter or anything like that, no way. It's not his fault that he's got all these players. The board aren't backing him. We've got too many players out on loan that we need to get rid of. I just think we never found a system that actually worked. And as soon as we reverted back to that 4-2-2 is where we actually really started to kick off our season.
And that kickoff for the season came, surprisingly, against Aston Villa away. Well, not necessarily surprisingly, but they were above us at that point. They'd picked up a few decent wins across the season, but still probably where everyone expected them to be, around 17th, 16th. But what a performance away from home, Tom.
Brilliant, yeah. It was it 2-0 half time, and or maybe 3, and Stevens got a goal again, and it was just a great day before Christmas. I don't think you or Liam can remember very much about it, but it was a great day.
We'll
Yeah.
talk about that, yeah. So yeah, that's a massive win before Christmas, and then the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, we're expected to go up to Chelsea. Probably not much expectation, but Josh, you were the only one who went that day. Sum that one up for us.
Oh, mate, it was 100% one of the best performances of the season. Fully committed. We literally gave everything and deserved to win. Yeah, obviously we kicked things off with Obafemi. Oh, we saw Ings was on the bench at the start of the game, and people were a bit skeptical. Yeah. But then Obafemi, out of nowhere, dribbles past a few players and then bangs one right in the top corner, and we lead 1-0. And you still think, like, we've given away the lead so many times this season. I was still expecting us to lose, but we come out the second half really, really strong, and we scored a really, really nice goal with Nathan Redmond, a nice team goal. There was about 20 passes in that, and yeah, and overall it was a brilliant performance, and a start to a great run.
And the other player, you mentioned Obafemi and Redmond. The other player I want to talk about in that game was Stuart Armstrong. That was about the time when he was starting to be reintroduced into the team, and what a difference he made. I don't really understand why he wasn't included at the start of the season, but I think he was brought in maybe West Ham, but he was definitely playing against Villa, and you saw in that second goal against Chelsea exactly why. He's superb. I absolutely love him. And then with the harsh winter schedule, we're given 2 days until our next game, Crystal Palace at home. Liam, mate, I know we didn't win it, but we were still in good form. Did you think it was a good point?
I thought it was a great point considering what had happened really in the first half. Absolutely dominated the ball, which couldn't really create much. Just couldn't recreate anything. Palace were very disciplined with where they're playing. And obviously they got the goal in the second half, was quite undeserved. Then we somehow got given a gift with a back pass, and obviously Danny is going to pounce on anything that gets given to him. And it was a good point, but it felt like we needed all 3.
So, Tom, mate, we go into
Yeah.
2020 15th, so we're out of the bottom three and 3 points off of the top half. Did you see that coming in come the end of October?
No, I didn't. No, particularly the win at Chelsea. I think that was very unexpected, to say the least. And it was nice just to build a bit of good form up. We had a few bit of hit backs with Newcastle and West Ham, but beating Watford and Norwich, and then taking us into the Spurs game, being in that position, I think everyone could be happy at that point.
Well, then, yeah, so very good form going into the new year, and quite possibly the best month of the entire season came in January, given Spurs at home on New Year's Day and absolutely blew them away. I don't know about you boys, but Josh, I thought that was just a complete performance. Excellent going forwards, got the early goal, and Spurs hardly had a sniff at the back.
Yeah, we look like a completely different team to what October. I mean, I was hoping for the best. I was thinking like a top 10 finish after this game, honestly, because the way we played that game was like unbelievable. Danny Ings with a great goal, a bit like Matt Letiz with that dink over the defender and that finish. And yeah, I mean, I've never heard the stadium that loud after that game. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, everyone was singing so loudly. There was like a spirit within the team again. It was really, really nice to see.
So yeah, another scalp against Spurs at home. And then we got a home game against Huddersfield in the FA Cup. Plenty of opportunities given to the fringe players. And actually quite memorable for two debutants, Jake Vokins and Will Smallbone, on their debuts, got goals. So that was really nice to see go through in the FA Cup and get given another home game against Spurs a few weeks later. Following that, quite possibly, for me anyway, the best game of the season. You know, we talked about how down we were all after the Leicester game, you know, not just being humiliated, but in front of everyone. You know, it was on TV. Everyone's still talking about it. There was no hope to go there and not just pick up a result, but win and dominate. Liam, mate, how good was it?
That is probably definitely the best result of the season. Like, Leicester took the lead early on, but we absolutely dominated. That's like the first time they got into their half and actually had an attack. And we only won the game 2-1, but we should have won 4 or 5 like the Arsenal game. And obviously, it was quite calamitised, really. We 1-1 at half time. Danny Ings hit the bar twice in the space of a minute. And we go to the second half and we have a penalty awarded, and it gets disallowed for offside by like long shoulder. So that could have been another goal. Then Leicester scored again for Iheanacho. And obviously, there was a lovely second goal from us, picking the ball up in the middle. Redmond passing it to Adams, and Adams with a beautiful assist through to Ings, and obviously Ings finishing it. And then give away Sudifat at the end. They go and scored 2-2, but Johnny Evans was offside, and it's definitely the best I've ever felt this season after what happened earlier in the season. Not just to win 2-1, but to absolutely dominate the game. It's really nice to see.
Yeah, no, 100%, mate. And then following that, we've got Wolves at home. In my opinion, I was quite disappointed the way we managed it in the second half, but not worried. You know, I saw some fans talk about how we're now back in a relegation fight after losing a 2-goal lead and losing the game. But then that shut everyone up when we go to Crystal Palace a few days later, Tom, mate. I think you were the only one who went that day. I mean,
Yeah,
how convincing was that performance?
that was probably as convincing as I've seen for a number of years, to be honest. Like, Palace didn't have a chance. I think Cedric went off quite early, and obviously quite famously, Prowsey went to right back and had a certain someone in his pocket. And yeah, it was just sort of Armstrong had a great finish, as did Redmond as well. So it was a great game, and a much deserved 3 points after the Wolves game, which was so disappointing.
And then that win puts us into 9th in the league. I mean, I think that's the highest we've been all season. You know, everyone was just so excited about what could have been in the league after, you know, such a poor start. But then attention's turned back to the cup, a competition I actually think we took quite seriously. I know we didn't get very far in it, but I think we went into it with some intent. So Spurs at home, we've obviously just beaten them a few weeks prior. But Josh, mate, did you think it was a good performance? I know we drew, could have won it, but were you impressed?
Yeah, I thought we played all right. I think Tottenham were probably... No, I think it was a decent game. I think was quite equal. It was a deserved draw, I think. Buffal obviously getting the goal at the end. It was a nice goal, wasn't it? We had some chances. Ings obviously had a few, but overall, I think it was a deserved draw.
Yeah, so that takes us to the end of January. And then it was actually quite a busy January transfer window. A few players went out, Cedric and Yoshida, loans, but basically they're gone. You know, they're not signing new contracts. So it was sad to see them leave, good servants, especially Yoshida. And we brought in a right back in Kyle Walker-Peters. He came in on loan. Bit of a weird one. I don't really know what's going to happen with Kyle Walker-Peters, to be honest. But you know, it was a business that needed to be made. We needed a right back because Valou had been out. We'd been playing Prowsey there. Gineppo had been playing a wing back. It wasn't really right. Going into February though, given a really tricky test away at Liverpool, and to be honest, I know the result doesn't reflect it, Liam, mate, but I was quite proud of how we performed in the first half, especially.
Oh, definitely. The boys were superb, but defended really well. And we should have potentially been 1 or 2 up at half time. I think, other than West Ham, we're probably one of the best sides that actually go and give Liverpool a game, really. And the second half doesn't reflect the performance. Like, we should have had a penalty. They probably should have had a penalty in the first half after the long foul from Mino. But then we should have had a penalty in the opening minutes of the second half. Then it's classic Liverpool to go up the other end and go and score to make 1-0. Then from there, I think the boys just lost a bit of confidence, but they didn't even play badly. They never gave up, and 4-0 is definitely not the right result that should have happened. I think maybe 1-2-1 at best, probably.
Yeah, definitely. And then we've got a cup replay, another trip to the Spurs, to the new Spurs stadium, which I was really excited about. A night game there as well. I mean, there's robbery, and then there's the 3-2 defeat against Spurs, Tom. Well, like, give me your thoughts on it, because personally, I think we blew them away.
Yeah, we tore them apart. Early on, we were doing really well, and then they got that lucky deflected goal. We responded through, I think it was Ings, Long, sorry, in the first half, but then Prowsey went off, sort of disrupted our rhythm a little bit. But then Ings put us ahead, great counter attack from Redmond, and then they got really lucky towards the end. I think Mora scored to make it 2-2. And then right in the last second, Song got a penalty, dispatched it and sent us out, which was just so frustrating.
It wasn't even a penalty.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
So then, contrary with the new season rules, we get a winter break, so a 2-week break, and then we have Burnley at home. For me, really disappointing given how well we played recently. I think that winter break didn't help at all. 2-1 defeat there. But then we get a chance to redeem ourselves with a home game against Aston Villa, blew them away. For me, the worst team to come to St Mary's. And then back to reality again with a defeat away at West Ham 3-1. Josh, mate, at that point at the end of February, I know we went to West Ham together. Did you think actually that top half dream is probably out of the picture now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, after that performance, 100%. Like, there was just so many mistakes, little mistakes in that game. I know West Ham's our bogey team, but it just wasn't good enough, really. I mean, obviously McCarthy made that mistake. I mean, we just knew that Bowen was going to score against us. Obviously, he's a great player. And then we equalised for Obafemi. It was a good goal. And then McCarthy makes that mistake, and they score a third one. I think we just got dominated in the park. We didn't win any second balls. Yeah, our team looked tired, to be honest. I don't know what happened that day, but we just didn't play well.
Yeah, he spoke about McCarthy having a poor game that day. He redeemed himself the week after that, which was technically our last game. And that's the way we've ended the season. With a 1-0 defeat against Newcastle, red card didn't help at all, but McCarthy probably put in definitely one of, if not his best ever performance in a Saints shirt.
Yeah.
That leaves us 14th. We're currently still there. We don't know what's going to happen. So for now, that is the end of the season. I want to take this opportunity, boys, to just ask you how you felt about the season ending abruptly, what you've been up to with coronavirus and, you know, having to be in isolation. How's it affected you? I'll start with you, Liam, mate.
Obviously, it's quite saddening to not have any football. Yesterday, we should have been at Watford away, beautiful weather. But, you know, it's just come to reality of life that we just need to stay inside and stay safe. Hopefully, all your guys watching here, hopefully all your families and you're safe. So listen to the government. Please do not go outside if not necessary. It's so annoying. People going out for no reason. I know I'm sounding quite harsh here, but it's reality. Stay inside. Otherwise, we're going to be we're going to be here for months. So just listen to the government, keep safe, and hopefully we'll see you all soon for football.
Tom, mate, do you echo his thoughts?
Oh, completely, yeah. Everyone's got to listen to, like Liam says, the government. And so the longer you stay outside and ignore the rules, the longer we're going to be like this, and the less time you're going to have him watching or playing football. So it's, yeah, I completely agree. And hopefully we can. I don't know. I'm mixed on how I want the season to finish, or if I do want it to finish. But hopefully we do get some football back in the next few months. Hopefully.
And Josh, mate, would you void this season now and then just completely focus on the new one, or do you think it'd be better to finish this one?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think different fans will have different opinions, won't they? So Sheffield United and Leicester, Liverpool, obviously won't want the season to be void. But from our point of view and my point of view, I wouldn't really mind. We're not really in a position to go down or to challenge for top 10 or anything like that. So if the season does go void, I wouldn't really mind. Or if it goes behind closed doors, then I wouldn't mind either. I mean, yeah, obviously I do miss the football. I was supposed to go to Carrow Road a few weeks ago, but hopefully football will be back. Hopefully we'll all stay safe, and yeah, it'll resume. I mean, in the near future.
Yeah, good stuff, mate. Well, so I've now got a few questions. I went to Instagram to ask you guys how, just some questions you wanted to ask us about the season, how we felt about it on reflection. I know it's not been completed, but, even if it had been, I don't think Saints were going to do much more differently, better or worse than what they've done prior. So Josh, this first one is going to go to you. Best moment of the season from Leo Futcher.
I mean, it has to be the Pompey game. It has to be the Pompey game. It was an unbelievable. I mean, we hadn't played them for how long was it?
7.5 years, yeah.
7.5 years. So obviously, it was surreal to beat them 4-0 at their own ground, and yeah, it's a brilliant performance. But I went to Stamford Bridge, and I thought that was a fantastic performance. Honestly, one of the highlights of my season, Yeah.
And then Liam, mate, this next one goes to you from Ben Howman. He asks, what needs improving at the club to push for Europe next season?
Oh, that's a great question. I'd say definitely a new right back, maybe a new left back for Bertrand. I don't know if his day's over yet. We definitely need a solid centre back. I love Jack and Yan, but I don't think they're good enough for us to push all the way for Europe. And probably definitely some backup in the centre mids. We're always getting a bit on now. Obviously, we've got Smallbone, but we do definitely need a young, experienced player in there because we don't know whether Højbjerg's going to stay or go. And definitely get a proper captain, whether Højbjerg stays or not. So that's what I'd probably improve on for next season.
And then Tom, mate, this one comes from Sam_Young. He asks, how successful overall was the season?
I think relatively successful. Obviously, looking at our predictions at the start, it doesn't really match them that well. But it's been a bit of a roller coaster, like a lot of Saints seasons, really. Started really badly and then picked up a little bit, and then went back down a little bit, then went up. It was just really mixed. But I think overall, if the season did resume, we wouldn't go down. So I think most fans would have to be sort of satisfied with that, and hopefully we can sort of build on that moving forward into next season.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And then I'll take the next question. Ryan.Thorn asks, who has been your player of the season and young player of the year? He says, easily Danny Ings for player of the season, but he's shy of 30, so obviously can't be young player. You know what? I was thinking about this. We haven't had that many players on the cusp of the 20s. I think Bednarek. I think he's the youngest in that sort of regular starting. So I'd probably say Bednarek. I mean, Djenepo has a shout. You can't really say Smallbone because he got given, 2-3 appearances. Valerie was in and out. So, you know what? I think I'd go with Jan Bednarek.
Shout out to Obafemi as well. I think it's been good when he's played.
You know what? Give it Obafemi. I think that's a really good shout, Tom.
Yeah, he scored a couple of good goals, really. He's done a lot more than last season.
I completely forgot about 19 years of age, 3-4 goals this season.
You forget how young he is because he's always in the squad. So you don't forget he's actually an academy player. He's first team player now, don't you?
Mm. You know what? I'll give it to Bednarek because I still think he technically counts as a young player.
No, I think he's only like 22. I think
But no, that's what
he's still really young.
Yeah, no, he's a
Quality
good
player.
Yeah, and then the last one as well, I will take. Would you let Pierre-Emile Højbjerg go for £30 million that comes from Daily.Saints FC? No. Strictly put, no. Not in this market. I know he's got 1 year left on his contract, but I think you'll see the club offer him a new contract, in all honesty. Whether he signs it or not is completely up to him and his agent, but I still think with 1 year left on his contract, we'd be selling him in the summer for more than 30 million. With this market, I mean, I'd say normally his price tag would be about 50. I don't know what you boys think, but I think 30 million is still a bit cheap.
Yeah, I'd probably say 40 to 50 million. So saying like Spurs were going to buy him for like 35 million in the January, as well as Everton as well. There's a load of clubs looking for him. We were never going to sell him at that time. Never really.
Or do you think we should be selling him?
Only if he does want to be. If he doesn't want to be, then I don't want to play. For him to be our captain as well, not wanting to be here, I'd rather sell him in the summer. But if he does want to be here, he'll show that and sign a new contract. So that's the way it is for me.
Yeah, to add to that, I think if he does go, I think there's a chance we could try and get Lamina back. I know he's going to apply anyway, but try and get him back playing. But obviously his attitude's a bit questionable, so it's a difficult one. But I think we can't sell both. It's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't think we'll be selling both players. I don't know what's going to happen come the summer. But boys, thank you so much for joining me. Obviously, we don't know what's happening with the football, so we just assumed that, yeah, it is pretty much over for the season. If there is football and the Premier League say that we're going to be playing our games in, I don't know, June and July, then of course there will be content. But for now, it's all up in the air. So we're just going to be, just leaving it here, I guess. So leave it a like if you have enjoyed it. Remember to subscribe if you haven't yet already, and follow us on all of our socials. Let me know in the comment section below your favourite moments of the season, favourite player, worst moment, literally anything you want to add, do so in the comment section below, and we will be trying to get some more content out in the coming weeks. So stay safe, stay at home, and thanks for watching.